Hello, YouTube. Right, well, theoretically, this is episode 2, right? But it's a bit of a wing and a prayer, flying by the seat of our pants. I haven't written anything down. I've got nothing planned at all. I thought I'd just try and articulate a few sort of points of interest, right? Following the Travis Scott hysteria. I don't even know where to start. Obviously, all the social platforms are awash now with footage from the Astro World concert, festival, fucking event, whatever you want to call it, right? And Travis Scott is now, he would be now the number one name on everybody's minds, everywhere, all over the world. Obviously because of things that have gone very, very badly. But regardless, all of the energy is now focused on this guy, right? And obviously, there's a lot of posts being made about, you know, is it demonic? Is it negative? Obviously, it's negative. But was the concert? Did it have a kind of demonic presence? Did it have a sort of a deliberate sort of demonic theme to it, right? Well, yeah, of course it did. Of course it did. Whether that was a demonic theme because it's cool to be, you know, to have that kind of link to everything that's kind of rotten, or was it deliberate because there was some entity there that wanted to capitalize on negative energy, right? So who knows? We'll never know the answer to those two things. But there are some important points to take out of all of these events. And I'm just going to try and remember what they are, because as I say, I haven't planned anything here. So this could just all be complete bollocks. Firstly, I think it's quite interesting. I haven't got any comment to make on it without looking further into it. But everything that has happened in the last 2 years, maybe 2 and a bit more years, right, has been linked to not being able to breathe properly. So obviously the George Floyd incident, you know, him saying he can't breathe, and that became a bit of a tagline. Then we had obviously COVID-19 and obviously a respiratory virus, respiratory condition, which was obviously affecting people's ability to breathe. Then we had masks, you know, mask mandates, where of course that's restricting our ability to breathe. A fundamental human requirement is fresh air, clean oxygen. So that's been restricted for 2 years. And now you have an event which is the manifestation of the lower consciousness. Like when you look at that event, that is visually everything that you would expect the lower consciousness to manifest. If you're happy for me to use that a spiritual word, right? And people dying, getting trampled on, or the whole crowd saying they can't breathe. They were squeezed together so tight that they couldn't breathe, right? So what's the link? Is there a link between those three? Like the 3 most common themes of the last 2 years. It's like the number one theme is humans' inability to breathe, right? So what is that? What's the relevance of that? Like one of pretty much the most fundamental requirement of a human. Yes, we need sunlight. Yes, we need food. Yes, we need water. But we need air to breathe. And that is the one thing that we cannot do without at all. I mean, we can go without water for I don't know what it is. How long is it? A couple of days, is it? We can go without food for a month, for 2 months. I don't know what that is. But we can't go without oxygen for longer than, you know, a couple of minutes, right? So is there some relevance there? It's weird that there's a concurrent theme that's running through that. So that's the first thing. I don't, without looking any further at that, I find that just quite an interesting point, right? Secondly, like what is it with humans, especially now because it's so obvious, what is it with humans that they, as a group now, unless you're on the fringes, and I consider myself on the fringes, you know, if you look at the rates, you know, 95% of the over 16-year-olds in Australia, certainly in New South Wales, but let's say in Australia, have had one of those things, right? And so I must be on the fringes if I'm one of the 5%. But what is this obsession? There's an obsession with several things, right? What's the obsession with needing to be led? Why does anyone want to be led by anyone? If I look at life, like I'm 48, I'm a 48-year-old guy. I don't trust anybody to lead me in anything because I've got to an age where I've established that the majority of experts don't really know. They know a certain amount and then they're fumbling around in the dark. So if you take, for instance, a GP, obviously a GP, great. You know, you go in, you might have cellulitis and you need to be prescribed some antibiotics, antibiotics to clear that up, right? Life-threatening infection, right? Great. They might be able to prescribe you something for some gastro bug, for some other pharmaceutically treatable ailment, right? But if you if you ask a doctor about something that's a little bit outside of their normal remit, so, you know, at the beginning of the pandemic, I asked my GP, who is wonderful, she's an amazing GP, but I said, you know, what's all this about hydroxychloroquine? And she didn't really know anything about it, and that's fine. You know, what do they know about ivermectin? Very little. What do they know about vaccines? Other than what they're told about a vaccine, what do they know about the ingredients, the effects those ingredients are going to have, the effects of the vaccine, how long it's going to last, all that sort of stuff, right? They don't know the answers because really as a GP, your job is to prescribe pharmaceuticals which are sold to you by pharmaceutical sales reps that will come round to your practice and suggest that you try a particular medicine to treat a certain thing, right? And then you look at financial advisors. You know, these people that have got all this advice on how to manage your finances, but they're doing it because that's how they want to make money. But how many of those are experts? How many of those are living debt-free? You know, how many of those have used, you know, financial decisions of their own wisely to create extreme wealth? Very little, almost none of them. You know, all these crypto experts, everyone's now a crypto expert, but a lot of the, I don't even know whether obviously a lot of crypto people or people that are into crypto are really into it and they understand a lot about it, but how many of those people really understand what it's all about? Or are they just jumping on the bandwagon? So why are we? And then we get led by politicians. You know, politicians that run portfolios in government who have no experience in those areas whatsoever. A lot of the time, these people are career politicians. They've done nothing but politics since they left school. It's maybe what they trained for. Certainly in the UK, I don't know what it's like in Australia, but certainly in the UK. You know, they'll go to Eton. They'll be taken out of specific private schools. They are schooled specifically to become these people that will lead us, right? But they're taught how to communicate, how to manipulate, how to debate, how to argue, how to avoid questions, how to spin. So, but yet people keep lining up at a polling booth every 4 years, whatever it is, every however many years for over here for state elections, federal elections, and so on, right? So we're constantly looking at people that are unqualified to be these kind of leaders, but none of these leaders are we looking at what are their core values. So we've got this new New South Wales Premier, Dominic Perrottet, or however you say his name, right? a devout Catholic, a very religious Christian guy, who has these beliefs as a human. He has these beliefs. But he said, look, I'm being put into government by the people, so I will follow the party line and I'll put my own beliefs to one side. Well, why are we encouraging that? Why is that to be encouraged? Don't we want to vote for authentic human beings that have a particular moral code or a moral compass? Like, isn't that the aim? If we're going to be led by people, shouldn't we be led by people that have some inherent need to hold firm values within themselves so that they're not conflicted when it comes to making a decision so they might have a party line, or they've got their own internal belief system? How can they call themselves a sort of a devout Christian if the actions that they do in their job are counter actions to what they believe within themselves? Or do they not really believe that strongly within themselves? And to be honest, that's probably the truth of it. They're more aligned to their political position than they are to their faith. And we should be voting in people based on their internal belief structure, whether they're atheist, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, whatever, right? It doesn't matter whether, it should come from what are the core values that person holds, and are those core values around community, fairness, equality, authenticity, honesty, truth, peace, happiness, prosperity, right? Surely that should be the basis of it. So that's why I don't turn up to a polling booth and actually cast a vote, because these people are corrupt. They are playing a game. They're doing something to earn a paycheck along with the rest of everyone, right? So then you look at people like Travis Scott and everyone else that is held in some high regard. They're just flesh and blood bloke. It's just a geezer who has been picked up and marketed as a product, right? Whether he's sold his soul to the devil, whatever that might mean, has he actually sold his soul to the devil? Does that mean that he has created some pact with a demonic deity, perhaps? Does it just mean, from a sort of allegorical, metaphorical perspective, that he's signed, or they, whoever those people are in those positions, have signed away their lives to something, a system, a company, a contract, to get out of it extreme wealth, fame, fortune, right? So, and you have all of these young people are clamoring to be near to this person. And then when you look at that person, what sort of person is it? Is it a loving energy? Is it someone that's bringing positivity and uplifting the spirit of humanity? Or is it someone either for their own benefit or for the benefit of something or some group or somebody else to, generate some negative vibe and to increase an energetic, to create an negative energetic environment that something is feeding off of? You look at Travis Scott, right? He's on standing on a stage, a massive performance, a massive spectacle that's been put on by a whole load of people. It's not Travis Scott who's gone and created all of the backdrops and the weird, negative, sort of demonic imagery and all that sort of stuff, right? He's just the mouthpiece. But who are the people behind it, and why do they want to generate that sort of? And people say, oh well, Black Sabbath and oh Christ, I can't remember his name. Ozzy Osbourne. Sorry about that. Obviously, all people have obviously been doing this for a long, long time. Marilyn Manson and so on, right? But it is pretty creepy. It's pretty eerie. And now when you see all of the shit that's going on in Hollywood, the stuff that's being exposed, the covering up of paedophilia, sexual abuse, awful things. I mean, the list is endless when you look at, the track record of Jimmy Savile in the UK, best friends with, the future King of England, Edward Heath, Cyril Smith, whole cover up after cover up after cover up after cover up. The same in Australia, dossiers of information about, child sex abuse, covered up. Right, so people are putting their energies into this stuff, which is it's bad for you. It's bad for you as a human being. These energies are bad for you. That is setting you. That is creating a vibration within yourself, which is terrible for you as a human. And whether that's deliberate, is it deliberate because at a low vibration, humans are less powerful? So I don't know. So all that stuff is kind of crazy, right? And then you have to look at, well, where's all the light? Like there's no promotion of light. I mean, this YouTube channel is called The Light, right? I called it The Light because I thought there's so much darkness in the world, so much, not just horror movie darkness. There's just darkness. There's darkness everywhere. There's gratuitous pornography, violent porn. There's drugs. There's excess. There's addictions. There's all of this, and then there's greed, there's consumerism, materialism, there's competition, individualism. There's the mixing or the confusing of boundaries. We're now being told that we have to now question the English language. We have to question science, around gender, all these things. I want everyone to be able to do whatever they want to do, but as soon as we are mandated or it becomes law to have to start changing language or changing what we know to be truth, like it's said biblically that everything is good will seem bad, and everything that's bad will seem good, right? It's a very, very weird time at the moment. Looks like fucking, did CERN really open some sort of weird little portal and let some things in? Because it has gone super bonkers in the last 2 years. It's crazy. I actually feel like, especially now when you see how many people have got the old thing, and I think a lot of those were coerced, that they've done it anyway because they trust the government and that they're doing things, for the benefit of others. Okay, well, that's noble, perhaps. But I feel like I'm in this group, like over here, and I'm just watching this madness unfold around me. And I genuinely feel like, I do sometimes feel like we have split. Like people say that, there's a timeline that's split. And I feel like the timeline has split, but we're still all in the same place. But I feel like I'm in this other group that's now watching the madness unfold around me, and I'm just letting it unfold around me, and I'm not getting involved with it. But I made a post myself on TikTok the other day about the Travis Scott thing and saying, look, we can't be sucked into all the negative energy. But I think we've got to stop making posts about it. We've got to stop drawing attention to it. Got to cut it off. Got to stop dwelling on the negativity, because all this is still feeding into that negative energy. There was that negative energy generated on the night with all the weird vibration music, all the weird sort of sinister sounds, obviously the horrible environment, the heat, the crushing, the inability to breathe. There was that horrible negative energy that was happening then. And we're now carrying it on. We're flaming the fires of it, because we keep talking about it, and we're making this guy. We're adding to his fame, to his infamy, right? And I think we need to stop that. And then just taking it one step further, like there's a big need now, and I'm seeing a lot of people now on TikTok, but a lot of people that I'm seeing on TikTok, maybe it might be a dozen people. I don't know how representative that is of the population. But I'm seeing people really, and a lot of guys like me, and I'm not poo-pooing ladies, of course, but it's important that it's important that men stand up, and not powerful men. I don't even know what necessarily the word is to use. I don't mean powerful men from a physical stature perspective. I mean powerful men that are comfortable in who they are, and are willing to speak up and to not be intimidated by what they think is potential backlash, right? Because this is what's needed right now. It's strong humans, yes, but it's a strong male presence that are standing up for good and righteousness and cleanness and positivity, right? It's that's needed right now, and I'm super interested in connecting with as many of those people as I can. Right? There's a whole spiritual thing. Like, people will tell you there's a spiritual war going on right now, and if you look around you, because the media is on the side of that dark energy, clearly it is. We need to start forgetting the flaming of the fuel of the negative, and we need to start really amping up the positive. If you take Christianity, I'm not a Christian, but I do like the words of the dude that was called Jesus. We've got to start looking at those values. So when you start seeing people posting, on posts, oh, Jesus, the Saviour's coming, turn to Jesus, repent and turn to Jesus, right? It's all Christian chatter. What it means is, what that actually means is, and for some reason not many Christians will articulate it this way, what it means is you've got to stop and take stock of what's going on in your head, right? You've got to be conscious that you've got two sides, two choices that you can make in every situation. You can choose the choice that is going to make your life easier, going to give you more money, going to satisfy your ego, going to give you more likes on a social page. Or you can take the path, which is harder, which is choosing the higher road, the higher ground, the higher consciousness. The respect, courtesy, love, tolerance, compassion, service to others, selflessness, humbleness, giving away. And there's strength in that. That's where the strength comes from. Strength doesn't come from muscles and aggression and arguing and debating and winning an argument. Strength comes from being able to rise above that and be a voice of reason, of calmness, promoting peace and courtesy and happiness and joy and laughter and comedy and that good stuff, right? That's what we need right now. And if that means you have to go to a church to find that feeling of connection to some higher consciousness, then go to church. But it doesn't mean, or whether you have to call to Jesus to help you because you feel like you want to connect with something that you can visualize and you can grab onto, great. But if you're not into Christianity or Jesus or Hinduism or Islam, or maybe you are into it but you've lost your way a little bit, or you've lost hope in that interpretation, then all it's telling you to do is make a choice that comes from the higher consciousness. Everything you do, make a choice. Don't make an excuse for something. Oh, well, I have this set of beliefs for all of these things. Oh, but I just do this because I need to make some money. Or I just do this because I need to do that. Or I just do this because, make the choice that your internal moral compass is going to be true all the way through everything. And biblically, if you want to go biblically and you want to look at the words that the old guy Jesus said, is don't worry about all that other stuff. Because if you choose the higher path, if you choose the narrow path, if you choose to live a life that is in line with the teachings of that dude, and he taught the same things as lots of other people, if you make those choices, the universe is going to look after you. And if nothing else comes out of this negative energy and this demonic looking event that happened with Travis Scott, if nothing else comes out of it, take this out of it, that you can see a demonic energy in this environment. You can see it. It's right there. You can feel it. You know that it's a real thing. And because you know that's a real thing, you know that the opposite, that the light, that the goodness is also a real thing. And we've got to embrace that. Every day, every choice, we've got to be trying to embrace that. So don't feed the negative energy. Don't give power to these people. Take power away from them. So that's it. Spontaneous, probably bullshit. I wanted to share it, get it off my chest. I don't even know whether any of that makes any sense. But yeah, that's it. I will see you soon, YouTube.